3 up, 2 across, tap that play button 3 times, and walk through the archway into Dialogue Alley. Hello and welcome to Dialogue Alley, a podcast about Harry Potter books, book translations, and all other things magical. I am Erik.
I'm Carly.
And I'm Melanie.
And the 3 of us can barely get through the intro. This is our 3rd attempt, and I think we're just going to keep this one. So we're just going to push on for it. And the 3 of us lovely people that have a bad case of the giggles right now are all Harry Potter book translation collectors. What does that mean? That means we collect Harry Potter books from all over the world in different languages with different art because we like Harry Potter books. And the 7 books that were available in the United States for all of us originally were not enough to contain our enthusiasm. So we decided to import a book from where, Melanie?
Germany. So many from
Germany.
Germany.
That's a good one. Yeah, Carly, where else did we import books from?
Iceland.
Oh, that's a really good one. I was going to say Finland. Both have a land.
I was almost going to say Faroe Islands, too.
Oh, you and I said Faroe Islands once at the same time. Do you remember that?
We did. We jinxed it.
We both said Faroese at the same time. That was amazing.
Jinx.
That's such a cool language, you guys.
Of all the languages, which we determined last time, just languages. Melanie, how many were there?
Just languages, it was like 83, I think.
83, plus a lot of other things. It's over 80.
It's great.
That's a lot of languages. That is a lot of languages. Whether those are...
So many.
Yeah, just so many. So, welcome to episode 22 of season 3 of our podcast. And today we're going to talk about something that Carly and I talked about way back in like episode, 6 or 7, 5? It's under 10 because Melanie wasn't here.
I wasn't here yet.
Right.
I think it's fun
it was one
to
of the
revisit
2
topics.
through 9s, or 2 through 10, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, it's at least under 9. So I think it's kind of fun to revisit topics that Melanie wasn't here for because we obviously didn't get to hear her opinion on those books.
Yeah.
And P.S. the books we're going to talk about, I think are really great. So it could be a segment called "Erik really likes this stuff," and other people might too, and some people might not.
Or it could just be a segment of, like, it's been 2 years since this topic's been visited, and maybe there's information that's changed. You never know.
Also true. Because as we found out last episode, after recording that episode, there is some stuff that has changed in even as recently as like a week after we recorded it. Some new information has come out that changes kind of what we talked about last week, specifically regarding Ted Smart books. So there is actually a Ted Smart first print, first edition up for auction right now, and we will see what it sells for, which will then indicate we'll kind of have a baseline of what at least a Ted Smart first print, first edition Philosopher's Stone sells for. I think we can still all agree that...
Where's it on auction at?
Hanson's.
Mm-hmm.
Where? It cut out, so I couldn't
Hanson's?
Hear. Oh, okay.
So that's pretty reputable. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Although I think we can all still agree that later print Ted Smart books really not valuable. But earlier printing ones...
And I would even argue that I don't value the first print Ted Smarts. I refuse to own one.
Well, we'll see what the public says, I
mean,
guess.
I know the wider market may have a different say because you see placeholder books gain value. But you see same with... book club editions, they'll gain value because people can't afford the first edition first print, so they're vying for what they think would be a good sub, and sometimes Ted Smart wins for that. Not in this house, but for others.
Not in this house.
And even if that is the case, at the very least, after this auction, we'll have a new baseline price for what that is, even if it is substantially less than, obviously a Bloomsbury first print, first edition.
It'll be substantially less.
First edition of Philosopher's Stone.
I wouldn't be surprised to see it go for $1,000, which is about $999 more than I would pay.
Whoa.
But I wouldn't be shocked by that either, because I've heard of that happening.
Right. Well, I think...
But I mean, if you compare that to the hardcover Bloomsbury book, first print, first edition of book 1, That's a substantial difference still.
Right. So we'll see. We shall see. So this episode, we have a little teeny bit of news. Again, we're going to talk about, in my opinion, some just glorious books on the main segment. And that might even carry on. That might even carry on over to the translation of the show, because they might be just that epic. So, sorry, Carly.
I know. It's okay.
That's okay. All right, so let's get into a little bit of news before we get going here.
News. I mean, this isn't like a huge like newsy news kind of thing, but you know, I feel like when we knew like our last episode was going to be like a bit controversial because we were talking about the list and we're talking about numbers and things like that, and it did spark a pretty significant like conversation amongst this community. And I think one thing that we might not have said super crystal clear in the episode is the fact that, like, just because I say like, oh, this book gets a number and I think this book gets a number, and that it's exactly that. That's what I think. That's my collecting criterion. That's what I put on my shelves, and those are books that I choose to count and choose to collect. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's like the end all be all of collecting books. That doesn't mean that that's a universal opinion. It's just my opinion, or it's what I want to have. And Carly mentioned that, you know, some of the books that we deemed as linguistically interesting and have slight variations, those are books that she definitely is going to collect, definitely going to count in her list. I don't necessarily count them officially on my list, but I still love those books and still have those books because I think that they're interesting. But I wouldn't like in pen and paper, like put that down as a list of like a book that I would have to have. But yeah, I think what's so cool about our whole community, and we see it really magnified on our Discord, is that everyone kind of does their own thing and can have their own customizable list. And the even coolerest thing about that is the fact that did you like the word coolerest?
Like, I love the word coolerest. Yeah.
That is, I'm loving this word.
Eric got a big smile on his face when I said coolerest.
I want like a mug that says Dialogue Alley, the coolerest podcast.
I love it.
God, that'd be so fun.
New merch.
Thanks, guys. That makes me feel so special with my words.
Even coolerest than other podcasts.
The coolerest podcast.
Even coolerester than other podcasts. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Whoa.
Hey,
more
sorry.
coolerester than
I might
the other
moonlight
podcasts.
as a wordsmith.
Take it easy. So the coolerest thing about that is there is a place where you can build your own list, and you can have all of the specific things that you would want to collect and the things that you find interesting. And that exists within Potterglot's platform. And it's so cool that you could go to his website and select, I want official translations, or I want all official translations and unofficial and transliterations. All of those things, those are all of the books that I want. I want second translations. I want revisions. I want everything. You could do that on his list. You could, if you decide that you don't want revisions, but you want everything else, but you don't want unauthorized, that's kind of along the lines of what I do when I collect. You could do that too. So I feel like what I am trying to say is like everyone can kind of build your own journey. Isn't it that like a video game thing that you could just like choose your own adventure? Choose your own adventure. That's collecting Harry Potter translations. It's choose your own adventure. You do whatever you want, and like there is zero wrong answer with any of this. And also, like, I don't want to come across that what I was saying on last episode, like this gets a number and that gets a number, that is the universal view of even this podcast, because it's not. Like, I know that Carly collects a lot more than I collect. I know that even just for book 1, she collects a lot more than I collect. Erik, I feel like you collect pretty similar to what I collect, but you also...
I think so, too.
I feel like we have similar mindsets in like, oh, I don't need to have all 3 Arabic with the revisions, but I want them anyway, so I'm just
But I want them. I have
them.
FOMO when it comes to stuff like that.
I know. I think that that's more so what it is. Is like, I just have FOMO and I just want to have it anyway. I like that everybody in our Discord was talking about it, so I decided that I wanted those books too. So
I think the hard thing is, like, on our Instagrams, we have numbers, and the numbers on our Instagram pages, like, I have this many of this many. I'm debating, like, just getting rid of that, honestly, because, or making it more of an objective term. Like, I have this many languages, or I have this many official translations, or I have this many whatever. Because I feel like just using the word translations as a placeholder to generalize what I have in my collection is a misnomer. So
I agree.
That's where Potterglott's list. Yeah, that's where Potterglott's list is so helpful, because it is literally a list of everything that he and us in the community, which. I mean, he's done a ton of work building that, but so many people in our community have helped contribute things to that and discover new new revisions of books, and maybe like new unauthorized editions that exist, right? So that's so cool that it's really kind of his baby, but other people have significantly contributed to that, because we all share a love for the translation books in general. So, yeah, I'll probably be changing that on my Instagram bio to something else. But I do think it'd be fun if we put on our website kind of what each of our 3 collecting criteria was. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we could work on that. I know another thing that's like big in the works that we're trying to come up with is like a flow chart. Which I feel like what's hard about that is like I have it pictured in my head of how I want this flow chart to be and what I want it to look like, and finding like a way of generating that has been like a bit difficult. So I feel like I have to kind of like draw it out first and then find a way of like doing it digitally. But we want to do a flow chart of like, is my book worth money? And like I feel like on that flow chart there's going to be a section where it says like, did my mom buy me this book, or like, is my book valuable? Did my mom buy me this book on my 7th birthday and read it to me every night before bedtime? Yes. Then your book is valuable. Like,
your book is valuable to you. It has intrinsic value.
Right. Like that. Like, I want there to be things like that on the flowchart too, but I want it to primarily be, does your book have red boards? And like talking about Sorcerer's Stone. Does your book have red boards? Then it's a book club edition. And no, it doesn't really have value. Like,
well, I know someone in one of the groups that I'm in had made a similar chart, only it was full of completely wrong information.
Oh, we don't like that. No. Misinformation is not our friend.
They were talking about how only 300 flatboard 6th print stones were printed, and I asked where they got the number, because I've owned quite a bit 6th prints for Sorcerer's Stone, and for those who don't know, most of them don't have the diamond embossed boards. They're the only print not to do that. I've seen a few that have, but they're hard to find. But I've owned quite a few 6th prints, which leads me to believe that there's a lot more than 300 around that don't have the embossed diamond boarding, because why would, and someone in the same list was saying that they're valued at like $1,200. I think I paid $30 for each of mine max. Yeah. So I asked where they were getting their information from, because it's not my experience since I've been collecting, and they got really offended. And I don't like the barrage of questions and stuff like that. So I just stopped responding, because they weren't responding to me well. And I wasn't trying to be rude, but if there's more information that I can add for the community, I would like to do that so we can be all on the same page here. And that's just not what happened.
That's where I think
so. Someone tried to do that, but it was just,
Go ahead.
I was just saying someone did try to do that I've seen, but it was just a lot of it was just wrong. And if the person that did that is listening, I'm sorry. It's true what I'm saying, but I'm sorry.
That's where I feel like putting these flowcharts out, maybe on our website, which we'll make, and we will definitely have input from people in our Discord and other collectors that we know and trust. So we want to make sure that the information we put on there is the most accurate and most helpful information.
I
and
don't
I feel
mind
like we
being
have
corrected.
so many resources to help make sure that list is as factual as possible. So I think it'll have a lot of credibility just based on the amount of people that will be able to look at it and, pick out things that might need to be tweaked a little bit or added or something that maybe is forgotten.
Right. Or like if something
it's more than
changes,
just one
we can
person
do
making
that.
the list. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we all are open to, correcting data as we learn new things. Like, that's really fun.
I know.
And there's been quite a few things that have been corrected since I've started collecting, but
I feel like that's even in the smallest things, as like my website, which I'm constantly updating and trying to make sure I have up-to-date pictures of things because there are constantly books coming out. I know that there are things that I'm missing on there. But like someone today brought
mine is so far out of date.
Yeah, someone today brought to my attention that like maybe my tab on unique fonts need to be updated. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like pen and papered with a picture of all of my unique fonts on here, going through book by book on my shelf to make sure that I do have as up-to-date information, because it's cool that people look to us to be resource. But that being said, I feel like we pride ourselves in putting out accurate information. So,
exactly.
Yeah, this flowchart that we are kind of having in the works is going to be as factual and accurate as it possibly can be.
Yeah. And as we learn new things, we can always adjust it. Like, that's what's fun about it.
But in the meantime, there are some books that we need to discuss quite in depth, and those are the books that we are going to talk about in our main segment.
All right, so for the main segment of this episode, we are going to revisit a topic we talked about a long time ago without Melanie, and it is about some of my favorite books. That is a very subjective comment, but I think I have a pretty good case of why these books are pretty great.
I like that you said case. Wait, you said case. That pun intended, I hope. You said...
Oh, well,
did you
mean
a dad
because
joke at
I'm
moment?
talking about the US Deluxe Edition books 5, 6, and 7 that come in a slip case.
What?
Whoa. Melanie just slipped hers right out of there on the video.
Sure did.
Whoa. So these books, for whatever reason, only exist in Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, and Deathly Hallows. And these are 3 books that Scholastic put out in addition to, but not related to in any way, the collector's edition of Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, which I think we all agree are interesting to have in your collection, but those books are just kind of poor. But, Carly, I think you can agree that at the very least, these 3 books are a little bit better than those first 2 for books 1 and 2.
Yeah, they can fall and not break.
Yes, exactly. You can open them,
very low bar.
and the pages will stay inside of them.
That's a very low bar, but it is accurate.
The dust jacket is not made of plastic.
Facts.
There's that.
So,
And also, importantly, the collector's editions of Book 2 and 3, Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets by Scholastic, I'm seeing now sold on eBay as
right?
signed.
1 and 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, books 1 and 2. I'm seeing them sold on eBay as signed because there's that signed cartoon in the front. Yeah. And I have messaged sellers to let them know, and they're like, no, it's hand signed. I'm like, no, it's not. So it's not, there are signed copies that do exist. I know people who have them.
There's someone
the
selling
usual
one
copies
in
aren't it.
the next town over for me, because I checked on like Facebook Marketplace. I always check for like new Harry Potter listings. The next town over for me,
Same.
someone is selling a collector edition without the plastic, saying that it's a signed book, trying to get $500 for it.
False.
I want to like drive to their
No.
house, knock on the door, be like, "Hey, your book is not worth that."
It's not signed. See the
It's
bumper
maybe a
sticker on
$20
my car?
book, especially
I know what
without
I'm
the
talking.
plastic.
Not good.
But
Yeah. So I would agree that the US Scholastic Deluxe editions of 5, 6, and 7 are ish better than the first two. But it's ish for me, and we'll get into that later.
we'll get into that. So I will quickly just give you a little overview of these 3 books. So for whatever reason, right, we don't understand why Scholastic published 3 deluxe editions of Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, and Deathly Hallows. Just those 3. Why not Goblet of Fire? I don't know. Why not Prisoner of Azkaban? Because they stopped after Chamber of Secrets? I don't know. But these 3 books came out, and all 3 of them are done in, I want to say, an identical format. So all 3 of these books have a like very hard slipcase, which I think is made extremely well, but we won't get too far into that. All 3 of these books are the same size as the Scholastic hardcover books that you know and love, with the Mary Grand Pré art. However, these books all take it a little bit higher and have exclusive Mary Grand Pré art on all 3 of the dust jackets. And all 3 of the dust jackets don't have any writing on them because all of the information is on the slipcase itself. So if you open every one of the slipcases, you will have a book that does not have any words on it at all on the outside. And what it is if you open up the dust jacket, like you can honestly do this on the other like Mary Grand Pré regular hardcover books. The dust jackets are all one continuous image, but the image on these books is all unique to these books. If you want to see the image, well, one of them's, well, sort of. Well,
We'll get into that also. Don't worry.
We'll get into that. If you want to see the more traditional cover of these books and you open up the boards, that is on the inside of these books. So you can see kind of what the original, quote, non-deluxe edition image is. And then in all of these books, there is just some awesome extras. There's pages with drawings on them. There's full page Mary Grand Pré colorized chapter art at the end of these books. There's just really, really cool things that are added to this book that to me make it feel like a deluxe edition, not just like another version of the book, which maybe, Carly, there isn't enough for you to make it like a deluxe edition, but at the very least, there's way more in these books that you get than the books 1 and 2 Scholastic Collector's Edition, which if you're going to put the word Collector's Edition on something, I think it needs
They shouldn't fall apart.
It shouldn't fall apart, for one, right? And also, there's nothing extra in those first 2 books. It's literally the book. The outside just looks a little bit different. Whereas these books, at the very least, they give you exclusive art on the outside, which the first 2 don't, and they give you some exclusive art on the inside. So there's just more to it than the standard book that you would buy, which I really appreciate. So I don't know. Do we want to go through all 3 of these really quickly?
Yeah.
All right. So Melanie, kick us off with Order of the Phoenix.
Oh, can I do Half-Blood Prince? I don't like Order of the Phoenix. No offense to people that like Order of the Phoenix, but it's my least favorite
Okay.
of all of the books.
Okay,
Actually,
fine.
on a quick note, like I bought Order of the Phoenix when I saw it at a used bookstore at Half Price Books, and I was actually really excited about it. This was when I first started collecting. I bought it, and that's still the only one that I own.
Well, do you want to talk about this one then, Carly?
I don't have it with me, and it won't be pretty. So I'm just gonna say why I don't like them when it's the
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to know why you don't like them.
Yeah, I will. So I'll describe. Oh, do you want to do that now, or should we describe them and then
I
Carly
mean,
tell
I
us what you
can
don't
because
like
I've
about
actually thought long and hard since y'all's discussion.
them? Okay.
So for starters, the 5, 6, and 7 really annoy me because I can't have a complete set. So my collector brain is already tweaked. Like it doesn't like not having the complete thing. At least, with the translations, when we have like Tibetan, which is 1, 2, and 3, they at least did it 1, 2, and 3 instead of, 5, 6, and 7. That I don't understand what they've done. So I'm annoyed by that. To me, the art, while it is unique art and the slipcases are cool, they're not enough for me. Like, they're not cool enough for me to justify being annoyed by only having 5, 6, and 7. Like, the annoyance outweighs the cool factor. Yes, there's neat art on the inside, like you mentioned. There's other cool things that they come with. But it's not enough to make me care. Moreover, and why I'm so, I guess, over these books, is I have messaged hundreds and hundreds of people on eBay telling them it's not a signed copy. And I've had to argue and argue and argue why these aren't authentic signed copies, because the slipcases on the top have a J.K. Rowling signature. And people confuse them, especially because where the auto thing went across, it's slightly indented. So I've had people make that argument, oh, no, it's indented, so it's hand-signed. No, there are signed copies. This is not one of them, and here's how I know. And it's so much so that I actually have a saved document on in a Word file that I just copy and paste. Because the conversations are so usual. And they're really annoying to me. So I think that is honestly my biggest annoyance, is that they've caused so much confusion in the collector community. A lot of people think that they're rare when they're not. They're overvalued and people spend too much money on them. So I think I'm just tired of telling people what they're not, that I can't enjoy what they bring to the table. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think if I weren't so annoyed by the books and having to correct the information on them, I wouldn't be able to enjoy them. Even the 5, 6, and 7 part of it, maybe. But I can't, because I know that when I go shopping on eBay, I'm going to have to email someone and explain why it's not an authentic signed book. And then, well, I've overpaid for it. And then I've had some people tell me, well, I paid $800 for this book because I thought it was signed. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. And that I have a hard relationship with them, I guess, over that. So they just annoy me more than I can enjoy. So I'll keep my book 5 to say that I have it. I don't know that I may even just give it away at some point because I don't enjoy it. It takes up space on my shelves and they don't do anything for me.
Well, I can respect that. But I can also tell
and
you...
I know y'all enjoy them, and I'm not trying to take away from what it is. This has just been an ongoing thing for me, really, since I got heavily into and making my website and all of that. So really since 2014, 15, that I've been kind of arguing with people who are trying to sell these books for what they're not. And I think that has taken away from what they are.
Well, and on that note, I'm going to tell you about the Order of the Phoenix.
Sorry.
So now
I'm sorry.
you have to listen to an entire podcast episode of Erik and I discussing this, Carly.
That's fine. I'll just take a nap. Just kidding.
I don't know how,
just kidding.
There's not a ton to discuss with these, so I think we're just going to briefly describe kind of what the three of them look like.
Yeah.
And that's really it, because I think at the end we'll talk a little bit about value and where to get them and our thoughts on that. But really quickly, I'm going to cover book 5 here. So book 5 has a blue slipcase with light blue accents and shiny blue writing, which I think is super cool. There is the traditional Mary Grand Prix cover on the front, on one end of the slipcase. On the back, it is the back of the book that you know and love. So that's nothing new. But when you pull the book out, the spine is actually number 12 Grimmauld Place. There is a fantastic, in my opinion, like huge fold out. If you take the entire jacket out, it is number 12 Grimmauld Place, and it looks kind of derelict, and you can see how like the number 12 is like materializing into place on Grimmauld Place
and it's like a ghostly like image of like the silhouette of the house.
Yeah, and there's someone like in the top window peeking out of it, and we don't know who that is, but it could be somebody. And it's a really cool image. The only other book that this image exists on is the
Book Expo of America.
Yeah, Book Expo of America edition.
Which is a really fun book.
That is a fun book. We don't want to talk about that because I haven't bought it yet, and it's at David's house, and I need to give him money so I can have it. So it just makes me sad that I don't have it, and I need to do that, so I will. But this book, if you open the boards, it is just kind of the traditional cover of the book on the end there, and then the back is obviously the back. The interior of this one, I think, lacks the most. There's not any extra images. There's not any extra art. It's just pretty much what the regular book is. But what all of these books do have in common is that all of the boards are black, which is really cool. The boards are all black under the jacket, and the like title on the spine is in whatever like the accent color is on that particular book. So in this case, the accent color is a very shiny blue. It looks really nice. The jacket or the boards, while completely black, still have that diamond pattern on them. I love that. Which is cool because we know that pattern, and it kind of has that continuity going with it. But I mean, I love the cover of regular Order of the Phoenix because of the blue. And if you like blue, you will love this book because there is so much blue on it. It is so blue. It is so blue. Although there are just like a couple red specks in the sky.
I know. I love that. Cool. It's such a cute little detail.
Along with the green eyes of the owl, which is probably Hedwig or Hedwig's friend, Paul.
Paul. Where's my mail, Paul?
Where's my mail, Paul? So that's the Order of the Phoenix one. So blue, that's the theme of this one. Blue, the exclusive art on the jacket is Grimmauld Place, and it's really, really cool. All right. Melanie, tell us about the next one.
Well, the next book would be Half-Blood Prince, which is my favorite book in the series, so I'm stoked to talk about it. I mean, I haven't gotten to say, and I'm just going to say it here, I love these books. And I feel like 5, 6, and 7, while it's not the complete set of the series, it's the complete set of deluxe editions. So I don't know. That's just my thought on it. But I love these books. So everywhere where Order of the Phoenix is blue, this book is green with some beautiful gold accenting. Now, what's really cool about this is it's all completely unique art on the slipcase on both sides. So you have on one side, it's Harry and Dumbledore. On the other side, it's Bob Ogden, like going to the Gaunt house. So cool. And then the image on the dust jacket, when you like take it off the book, I'm doing this all like live in action, is you can see that it's Harry and Dumbledore are in the Pensieve and they're following Bob Ogden down that memory. So that's what that whole image is. And it's a different green from the original version of Half-Blood Prince, which I also really appreciate. The original version is more of like a limey green, and this is more of a dark teal green.
It's like a forest green.
Yeah, it's like, because it's like a bluish green. Which is my absolute favorite green. You guys know I love like that dark tealy blue, but this is like a nice blue green. It's so pretty. And then you open it up and you get that contrast of the lime green because the end papers are the original cover art images. And then what is really cool is as you flip through the book, you do have those unique little bits of art in color in the book. So there's like this picture of a fox in this book.
Oh yeah, Foxy.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, I know it's been a little bit since I've read the books, but like I don't recall a fox. But
what I find interesting about this one is it's the only one of the three that has the unique art on the slipcase itself.
Yes. And I just love that.
I love that. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, I kind of almost like that they're like not cohesive. I don't know. What I want to look at is the back of the book has what is called an illustration showcase, which I think is unbelievable. So when you go through, it has like the chapter art, but blown up really big, so you can see quite a bit more detail in it, and it also kind of describes each image, which is just so cool. Like for the title page, it says this book is property of the Half-Blood Prince, and it's the advanced potion making book, and I don't know, what's another like noteworthy one? Oh, chapter.
I like there's a good Cormac McLagan one, and then it kind of quotes the part from the story where he's been confunded. So like it has like the little quote from the story that I would envision Mary Grand Pré used as the inspiration for that image, which is pretty cool. Oh my gosh, I just absolutely love that. I also love that there's like a little bit about Mary Grand Pré in the back of the book too. I don't know if we have that. Yeah, give her a shout out
about the illustrator. So cool. Should I read it?
Yeah, why not?
Is that copyright?
No.
It's not, right? We're not going to get in trouble.
No.
No. Mary Grand Pré has illustrated 19 beautiful books, including Henry and Paul and the Round Yellow Ball, co-written with her husband, Tom Casmer. Plum, a collection of poetry by Tony Mitten. The Sea Chest by Tony Buzio. I shouldn't have read this because I feel like I'm going to butcher these names. I'm so sorry. Sweet Dreams by Nancy Willard. And the American editions of all 6 Harry Potter novels. But we know that it's 7, guys. Spoiler alert. Her work has also appeared in The New Yorker, The Atlantic Monthly, The Wall Street Journal, and her paintings and pastels have been shown in galleries across the United States. Miss Grand Pré lives in Sarasota, Florida, with her family. That's so
Probably has a
cool.
Disney World season pass, annual pass.
I hope she does, and I hope she goes to Disney with her little family. That's amazing.
Probably.
Yeah, this book is absolutely unreal. Just like other notes to talk about, which this is different too. Erik was saying before that the foiling that has the text on the boards on the book itself are kind of like corresponding with what's on the slipcase. So for this one, the text is all in gold on the slipcase, but when you open the book and you look at the spine, all of the font is in purple, which is unbelievable. I love that. That reminds me kind of like the Hebrew editions, where they have these like crazy color choices for their foiling on the books, which I am about.
I think the non-deluxe edition, regular edition, book 6 has purple foiling on the spine.
Yeah, it does actually.
So that's actually very similar to the regular one. So
makes it
really
all
cool.
cohesive.
I love book 6. Book 6 was the first deluxe edition I bought because of the exclusive art on the slipcase. That's what caught my eye when I was scrolling through. So there's that. And then here's the last one. And I don't know, like, what do we do here? Because I think we were going to make this our translation of the show. So should we do all of that while we're talking about it? Or should we talk about it and then do the scale?
I think we should join it all together. Let's talk about it and do the tot scale all in one.
Da, da, da.
Welcome back from the transition music. Hope you like that new song we've been using, because it's new for season 3, if you haven't picked up on that. So we're going to talk about Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. This slipcase of this book is primarily gold accented. So it's, I don't know, it's a color that hasn't really been featured prominently on the regular edition. And something really special about this book is, Melanie, what's special about your book?
Mine is still in plastic, and I'm gonna open it now so I can participate. I've never looked at the inside of this book. I haven't looked at the dust jacket, and that's, I feel like the best part about these books. But I've always been like, oh, it's in plastic. Should I keep it? Should I not? Should I keep it? Should I not? So today is the day. The only thing that I'm gonna lose is it has this little sticker that says exclusive, full color artwork.
Peel it off. I peel mine off.
It's on the plastic.
I peel it off, and then I stick it on the inside of my slipcase.
Oh, that's a good idea. I could do that. I didn't realize. You're right.
So I just stick it up in the top on the slipcase.
Got it.
Just a quick note about those who want to keep the books in plastic. These books have acid in them, and they will degrade the books, or the plastic has acid in it, so it will degrade the books over time.
Yes,
thanks,
that's
Carly.
a good point, Carly.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Where were you like however many million years ago that I bought this book?
I just tell everyone if they have plastic wrapped books, unless it's archival quality, to take them out.
Well, today's the day.
Today's the day, Melanie.
Baby can
Good
breathe.
job.
Oh my gosh.
So, this book is more similar on the slipcase to Order of the Phoenix, where the cover is just the standard Grand Prix Deathly Hallows. The back is the back of the book with Voldemort, but it's primarily gold, like I said before. But if you take the book out, there's this really, really cool full-page spread on the dust jacket of our trio flying on the dragon from Gringotts over this landscape with a sun setting in the background. And like the colors are super cool. There's a lot of oranges and reds, but then you get the contrast of the greens in the mountains. You can see the dragon's face, like they described that it's kind of like opaque scales a little bit with clouded eyes because it can't see.
I love that.
And you get all that detail. It's just an image that we haven't really seen. And they are flying over a town, so hopefully no one in the town spotted them, because that would have been crazy. But if you open this book, very consistent with the other two, the end papers inside the boards are, the front of the standard Grand Prix cover with Harry in the Colosseum in Rome, and then the back is Voldemort kind of throwing his hands up, also with the Colosseum in the background of Rome, which is actually Hogwarts, but I always thought it looks like the Colosseum. But then the boards, are black like all of these other books, but the accent color is red on the back, which is just a really cool contrast with the black and red, I think. So
I
really
opened
cool.
it up, and honestly, I gasped at the red.
Oh,
it's
yes.
very unexpected. I wasn't expecting red. I was expecting gold. So seeing that it is striking against the blackboards. It looks beautiful.
Striking.
And the J.K. Rowling preprint signature on the top of the slipcase is also red.
Yes, because red is the accent color of anything shiny on this book. So blue was the shiny color on the first book 5. Gold was the shiny color on the outside of book 6, and red is the shiny color on the outside of book 7. So if we open this one, you actually get a lot of cool stuff, and that cool stuff, unfortunately, it's not at the beginning, so you don't get anything fun. But at the end,
no, I have a fun thing at the beginning.
You do? What is your fun thing?
It's the color picture of the peacock.
Oh, yeah. You're right. It's the color picture of the peacock outside of Malfoy Manor, and then you have Snape and, God, who's he with? Not Runcorn.
Yaxley? I don't know.
Yaxley? I think it is Yaxley. Well, I can find out really quickly. Yaxley. It's Yaxley. I just read the first page.
Whew.
Good work, Melanie.
Thank goodness.
So that's a cool picture. You get a little Malfoy Manor background. And then, just like book 6, you get the chapter art showcase at the back. So it goes through every page, or every chapter art has a full page spread with the little info on the bottom as to where Mary Grand Prix got the inspiration to make that drawing. So really, really cool, and more consistent with what is inside of book 6. So book 5 is really the only one that kind of lacks the interior part, but I think what it lacks in the interior it makes up for on the exterior. And honestly, if you're going to buy any of these, you might as well buy all 3. There's only 3 of them. So
Might as well.
So this is also going to be our translation of the show, this Deathly Hallows one, because I think Melanie has like the newest of the new copy, right? You literally just opened it. So
what print is yours, Melanie?
Oh, that's a good question.
What?
What print is yours?
Is it?
Oh my God, that's a good question. That's always like my biggest fear about keeping books in plastic is like not knowing what the printing is. It's a first. Whew!
Okay.
Mine is also
I have
a first.
seen other prints of the deluxe books around, so
Thank goodness.
I think this was one that I bought used. I think I got my book 5 in the plastic wrap, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, we can talk about that in a second. So obviously the publisher of this is Scholastic. We've mentioned that. It's in English. Specifically, it is in American English because that's what we do over here, apparently. And on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being the easiest and 5 being the most difficult to get, how hard is it to find this book? And yes, Melanie, I think you are correct. Carly is supposed to be doing the Todd scale.
I am. I was just waiting for you to let me jump in.
Carly, why don't you jump in, because you can be
Erik
our
is
guide
just
since
so
Melanie
passionate.
and I have these two.
He's so passionate
so
about
passionate.
these
He
books that he
loves
just
this
got
book,
carried
and
away.
I think it's great.
so passionate.
I think it's great that he loves the book. It's fun to hear people enthusiastic about these books. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how difficult is this book to get today? It's a 1 in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say like a 1/2-ish, only because they're not printing anymore. Like you have
can't go
to
to
buy
the
them
store
No, but
and
they
buy
printed
them.
a bunch.
Yeah.
They printed a bunch.
Yeah.
They're only available in secondhand, but I mean, you'll see them priced.
you can find them.
Sometimes. Well, speaking of price, I guess you'll see them priced anywhere from like, I think I paid $10 for my book 5 Deluxe Edition, and I've seen each of these for as low as 10, although that's quite rare. Yeah, I tend to see them sell between 25, 30.
I'm pretty sure
But
my order
their
the Phoenix
original
I got for
MSRP
free.
was, yeah.
Wow.
Because it smelled
they're-
bad. So I complained, and the person was like, "I'm so sorry about that. It smelled like smoke when I first got it. It aired
I'm
out
sorry.
thankfully and is okay, but they refunded me the money because it smelled real bad. But I think originally I actually only paid like $5 or $10 for it. So
Yeah, but they originally retailed for 65, which is crazy. I don't know if they
Yes,
ever
crazy.
really sold for that because I never saw them for sale. For
I
that
remember
price.
I
only found them
remember
at used
seeing them.
bookstores.
I remember seeing them for sale in Borders when I was younger. Like I remember seeing them being like, I've never seen those Harry Potter books before. La la la. On my merry way. Let me go to the CD area of Borders.
Right.
But I
Right.
specifically have memory of seeing these books on shelves in store, which I think is really cool.
I didn't
I don't-
pay
I
attention
don't
because I
remember
would
seeing
go
it.
to the CDs too.
Borders.
What, Eric?
Borders. They had a free bathroom by Madison Square Garden.
I remember that. I've gone to that bathroom actually.
Yep. I've used that bathroom. I used that bathroom 2 different times when I was in New York City, and I counted on that bathroom to be there a 3rd time, and Borders had closed.
Oh, dang.
So I think I had to buy an apple pie at the McDonald's right next to it.
You could just go down to Penn Station if you want to also risk your life.
Yeah, I avoided
No
that, and I
offense
also
to
got
Penn
an apple
Station.
pie.
No offense to Penn Station. I actually love Penn Station. That's my train station. So
Yeah, the only thing that might be a little sketchier is the Newark Penn Station.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know Tommy lives in New Jersey. Sorry, Tommy. Although, to be fair, when I went to Newark Penn Station for a New Jersey Nets basketball game, it was late, and it was probably not the best time to be at Newark Penn Station on a
No,
weekend
probably
night.
not.
Anyway, I think, Carly, when you mentioned the price, these are really easy to get. So if you
Yeah.
want them, which I don't think many people even know they exist, which is why we're doing this again. If you want them, you can get them pretty easily. So
yeah, or people know they exist, but they're confused about what they are, which was part of my annoyance with them earlier. On rarity, Erik just said it, Melanie said it, I said it. They're not rare. They're just, for some people, need to have.
Right, and then value, I wouldn't pay over $40 or $50.
Oh, I was going to say like $25, $30.
Right.
Yeah, if I were to buy one,
Harley would have to
I'd
be
have a
gifted
really
one
hard
of
time.
these. One book for free.
Maybe.
And then she'd sell it.
I would, or give it away. Because I think they're, like, I'm just really more annoyed with them. I go back to my original stance. Like, if I hadn't been arguing with people about what they're not, I think I would enjoy them more.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It just took away from the fun of them, I think, over the years. Because I'm just trying to help collectors, and I'm annoyed when I see them now. Rating scale. What do we think of the smell, you guys? Now that Melanie smells
my
better.
book is like
From
brand new. Mine, my spine hasn't been like cracked at all, so I can barely open it up. But it's so hard for me to give any other book other than Slovak outstanding, but this book smells great.
Mine smells great, and it was used, so I'm sticking with outstanding.
Cool.
I'm going to give it an exceeds expectations because I feel like the smell kind of fades a little bit. But it is really good. It's very like gluey, but not bad gluey.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I like it.
And I'm going to not vote because I don't own the book.
That's okay. You are guiding us through this one, Carly.
You
are our guide.
I am.
Excellent.
What do we think of size and proportions? With and without the slipcase.
Oh, I would say it's outstanding both.
I agree. Outstanding both.
Because honestly, purely because of nostalgia. Like I'm holding a book in my hand that it's so familiar because it's the same size as the book that I read when I first read Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, which that book in particular, I have probably the biggest emotional attachment to was when I read Deathly Hallows for the first time because it was later on in life and it was my favorite for the longest time because it was the book that like brought me back to the series. So it like,
and we had been so excited about it and answered all the questions of how things were going to end.
It's just so nostalgic. So size and proportions is outstanding plus, honestly.
I would
Erik?
agree with you. It's same for the same reasons, nostalgia and the fact that they made it exactly the same as the original book, but just changed like the pictures on it. I think is really, really smart because it does tap into that nostalgia of people like Melanie and myself that can remember reading this book, yet we're holding something that's a little bit different. So same, but different, I would say. So outstanding for me also.
How does it feel in your hand?
I feel like that goes along.
Outstanding.
Yeah,
same thing.
It's the same as goes along with the size and proportions. It's like holding a piece of home. Outstanding.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Outstanding.
And quality of the book. I mean, it doesn't fall apart if it falls off the shelf. So that's definitely a plus.
No, and I will say the slipcase. So, like, the book itself to me is outstanding, as are the original Scholastic Grand Prix books. I think they're very sturdy. Even when they're read, the spine doesn't really warp too much. It looks okay. The boards are thick. To me, the slipcase that it comes with, unlike a lot of box sets we get from Germany, and I hate saying this because usually the German books are fantastic, but they have a reputation for
Their
really flimsy.
slipcases have problems.
They have problems, and this slipcase is so thick and sturdy. Like, you could stack books on top of it empty and it would still like maintain its shape. It would not squish
I will
down
actually
and
agree
bend.
with that. So I feel like I can't weigh in on Deathly Hallows quality, but if it's anything like book 5, Order of the Phoenix quality, it's pretty stout.
Which it is. And like even the top and the bottom are so thick, and the spine part of the slipcase is so thick that this thing is not going anywhere. It's not going to bend. It's not going to crease. It's not going to warp at all over time. So I think the whole package in general is, to me, an outstanding plus in terms of quality. You feel like you're holding a quality book in your hand. And if something's called a deluxe edition, I would expect something like this, unlike the books 1 and 2, that holding in your hand could cause it to break.
I will say
it,
I've seen quite a few.
You look at it wrong, it will break.
Yeah, oh God. I will say I've seen quite a few Order of the Phoenix Deluxe Editions that are severely dented on the bottom, like they fell or something pretty far. So I'm curious if there was an issue warehousing them, because it's usually the same outside corner, like bottom corner, and they're really dented and it transfers into the board. So they must have fallen pretty hard, because these things
That's
are
what
pretty
I would
stout.
guess, if it's that consistent, because mine are pretty sturdy. It would take a lot to make this book dented.
It would, because mine has fallen quite a few times, because when I'm reshelving, it's just a book that I don't care that much about, so it's fallen quite a bit. And it survives it really well every time. So I'm going to actually give it an outstanding if it's based off of my order.
Mine is going to be an outstanding minus. And the reason why I say that is because there's so much glue on the, like, put in the spine that you could see excess glue, like, on top of the pages. And that's the only thing that I would give a minus to for quality.
Mine does not have that.
Mine has it on the top and the bottom. You can see like an extra glob of glue, like, on the bottom.
Weird. Huh.
So, outstanding minus.
Maybe you had the last one on the little conveyor belt.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
Yeah, use all the rest of the glue, Harry.
Let's make sure it sticks.
And you guys, what's the X factor?
Oh, we didn't say the cover art.
Oh, we didn't do cover art interpretation. I got excited.
Outstanding plus
cover art
for cover
interpretation of cover art.
Which, to me, is also the X factor. The fact that the slipcase itself has no words on it, it's just one beautiful picture that if you wanted to take this out and frame it, you totally could. And it would look outstanding on your wall. And, I mean, I'm honestly, I've debated buying 3 more of these to do just that, and to like mat them and put them 3 horizontal in a row in one frame.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
And what's cool is these are cheap enough to find that you could.
I know they are, and so I've thought about it. So
you should.
Yeah,
that would make actually a really neat piece.
That would be a neat piece. So all of you listeners, you could do that too. Buy 2 of these at a time and just frame the jackets, because they're really cool. So that's my X factor. The cover art is outstanding plus. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think I would say that this cover art is one of my absolute favorites. Like, it's probably out of all of Mary Grand Prix, including Scholastic School Market, which I always say is my number 1 favorite. I would say that this Deathly Hallows cover is probably my 2nd favorite. I love the color palette that's in Half-Blood Prince, but the beautiful full image of the sunset, the mountain, the dragon, the trio, Harry being centered right in the middle of the image to the point where he falls so perfectly in the middle of the spine of the book, which you see when this book is, if that's how you shelve them, that's what you would see, is just Harry riding the dragon on your shelves, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. I would say there are so many things that I would put as my X factor for this book. The fact that it's the end papers, the blackboards with the red detailing on the spine. I love the blown up chapter art at the ends of the book. And yeah, just this unbelievable, spectacular cover art is just gorgeous.
Neither of us said the peacock.
Oh, yeah, the peacock. And the peacock.
But yeah, the peacock's nice too.
And you know, as I've said, I'm not wowed by anything about these books, but with all of that said, I love that I'm kind of a dissenting opinion and that so many other people enjoy a book that people put a lot of time into. Like, clearly Scholastic put a lot of time into this, and I love that it's enjoyed by most. So if I have to have an X factor, it would be that other people enjoy it tremendously.
I think that was very well said. And I want to add two things. One, if you get a hold of one of these, you will know more of what we were talking about when we were hoping for the anniversary edition of Sorcerer's Stone.
That's literally what I was thinking.
Like, that is what we wanted it to be. We wanted it to be like, it could have been exactly this, just make it the Sorcerer's Stone book, and that would have been
genius.
Everything and more.
I wonder why, because they could have gone back and done like an anniversary edition of like 1, 2, 3, 4 looking like this, and then I may be more inclined and less annoyed by them.
Well, they sure could.
Or even like a brand new deluxe edition with slip cases. I would have been more inclined to buy them instead of what is.
They could have done that for each book on its anniversary and then just reissued these same 3 books, and people would have bought them brand new at the store, even though you could buy them used from the original run. So
easy. Yep.
I really think that there is, my second point is, I think there is a desire for people to own more cool Harry Potter books, but I think there are people that are hesitant to buy translations because, one, they're like, I don't speak the language, so why would I want it? And I do get that. I mean, I like languages, and I buy them all, and I like them.
And I mean, how often are we asked, why do you own books you can't read? We're all asked that. Actually, quite a bit.
But this set of 3 books is something that you can buy. It's in English. You can read it. They're not expensive. And the art is totally outstanding. It's unique to these 3 books, except for that Book Expo book, which doesn't really even count because you can't buy that book. You could never buy that book in a store. These are all really good showpieces if you want to arrange things on your shelf, if you want to take the jacket off and frame it. This is unique Mary Grand Pré art, which has that sense of familiarity from the original 7, but it's something that you may have never seen and something that someone looking at your shelf may have never seen before. So I personally, for the price of these, I cannot believe how many people don't have these because they're so cheap to get and they're so outstanding. So that's my little soapbox. I implore you, if you want to get something cool on your shelf in English that you can read, get one of these books. They're so cool. And if you get one, I'm guessing you will probably buy the other 2. But there are only 3 of them, so it's not going to cost you a ton of money. You could get all 3 of these shipped to you in the United States for probably less than $90, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
For sure under 100 if you're shopping used and you don't care if they're
for all
sealed or
3.
Not. So, yeah, for all 3.
Oh, definitely.
So that is my little soapbox. Melanie, do you have anything to add about these 3 charming books?
I love them. That's all. I love these books. And
remember, if they're in plastic, take it out because unless it's archival quality, because then it'll have the plastic will have acid in it and it will degrade the books over time. If it's acid free and or archival quality, you're of course fine. Well, that's kind of for all books in plastic. I tell people that quite a bit in different groups.
I mean, I am going to say my book is A-okay. And it's been in that plastic since it's been printed. But, But do what Carly says.
But it'll degrade. It can eat away at the glue. It can fade the colors over time. Like it can do some gnarly things if left there.
You could take the plastic off and it would be like the Fellowship of the Ring underneath there. It would change the whole book.
It's not Narnia.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, so many fandoms.
It'd just be two pages. It'd just be like 2 single pages after you unwrap it.
And I only say what I say about the plastic is I would hate for somebody to open their book and they have like a ding because of something like that or possible, and that would make me feel bad. So that's just kind of my word of caution. Like they're cool to keep in the plastic because it's new, but it's unless you want to I would just stick it in archival quality if you really want to do that.
And that's a Carly PSA from Dialogue Alley.
Yes.
All right. So that is all the time we have today. If you would like to get in touch with us, you can do so in a many number of ways. This podcast is on Instagram at Dialoguealleypodcast. Three of us are also on Instagram, which is, I think, where we are most reachable. I think, at least for me personally. Carly is on there at All the Pretty Books. I am on there at Nocturne Erik with a K, because that's how you spell knock, like on a door. And Melanie is on Instagram at The Harry Potter Collection. There are also some fantastic websites you can check out. alltheprettybooks.net, theharrypottercollection.com, and dialoguealley.com are all places you can get more info on Harry Potter books and all things wonderful. Another website you can check out is MuggleNet, which is where we are also on. We are a MuggleNet podcast, and you can find us there, but you can also find some other great shows in Harry Potter-related content on MuggleNet. So be sure to check them out. You can find our podcast also on a few other places. We are at Dialogue_Alley on Twitter. We have a Facebook page. If you are a TikToker, I think that isn't that a term?
I don't really know. I'm not
Melanie's.
that hip on TikTok.
I don't know either. If you're a TikToker,
You're more hip than I am.
You could check out Melanie at Magical Melanie on the TikTok.
Magically Melanie.
Magically
Melanie.
Sorry, I feel like the way I said that, like as an old person, it was even like worse that I said it wrong. Magically Melanie. You can find this podcast wherever you're listening to us on right now. You can also find it other places: Google, Apple, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, Spreaker,
Audible.
No, wherever you get your podcasts,
Podchaser.
Really.
Alexa,
Yeah,
play
anywhere.
Dialogue Alley Podcast.
Oh,
I
that's one of
showed my
favorites.
neighbor that today, by the way. I set up his Alexa, his Dot, and I showed him how to do just that.
Yay,
So cool.
that's great. Yeah, we're on all the things. So listen to us wherever you listen to things. Couple other things. If you like what you hear on those platforms, please leave us a review if you can. That'd be great. If not, you can always give us feedback directly through any of our Instagram platforms, or just, at our Dialogue Alley Discord as well. Also, I cannot thank our Patreon supporters enough. There's wonderful people, and all of our Patreon supporters, which support us monthly at patreon.com/dialoguealley, get access to our Discord, which is a wonderful space for people that enjoy what we do, which is collect Harry Potter book translations, or honestly, just talk about anything Harry Potter or life in general, because it's just a really great group of people. So for supporting us on Patreon, you can get access to our Discord. At a higher level, you get all of these episodes ad-free, and for an even higher level, you get to suggest some things that we talk about on the show, which pretty cool. You get to suggest the translation of the show sometimes, Melanie. Did you know that?
Yeah, and it's one of my favorite things that we offer.
We also are just so thankful for all the people that are in that community. I just want to say thanks to everyone that's in our Discord and that supports us on Patreon. We just really have some wonderful people in there that really like Harry Potter books in general, which is awesome,
also
which is kind of what unites us all together.
That genuinely support us and our podcast, and we're also passionate about this community so very much that having the support of all of these other wonderful folks on Discord has just been awesome and just very validating. So all the more reason why we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, all of you out there, if you're one of those Patreon people, give yourself a pat on the back, because we appreciate you. And if you're not, we appreciate you too. We just appreciate anyone that listens to this show, because we started doing this for ourselves because we just like talking about this stuff. And if anyone else enjoys listening to it, that's good enough for me, really.
Bonus. That's bonus.
So, with all of that being said, thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. It is time to walk back through the archway and into our daily lives, and we will catch you next time on Dialogue Alley. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.